Great chance here! That does it! Steve McGavin! And for the first time, Colchester United have won a major final.
Still Garcia, finally the company arrives and it's in! It's a freak out goal from Ricardo Carvalho. Richard Garcia wants the credit and the shock is on at the bridge.
And it's promotion for Colchester United. They've made it into the Championship for the first time in 69 years.
Porter, actually being held. There is Porter, and it's Maka!
Hello and welcome to Beyond the Barside, the podcast that covers everything Colchester United. I am Aaron J. Big thank you to those listening on Apple, Spotify and YouTube, doing us a big favour there, but no bigger favour than those sharing the podcasts on social media over on X, Instagram and Facebook. You are spreading the word to as many U's fans as possible, and the U's are coming off the back of another fairly successful week as the U's picked up a point away at Swindon, a hard-earned point that caused a few boos from the Swindon fans. We'll get into that a little bit later. And over on the women's side, it was Derby Day. It was the local derby against Southend United, and the U's won 3-1 against our local rivals. But we'll start where we mean to go forward. Saturday, Colchester United held off Swindon Town at their place to a pretty respectable 0-0 draw, and I was joined by U's fans, Si and Dave, to get the lowdown on what happened. Welcome back to Beyond the Barside. I am joined as ever by Si and Dave, and the U's are coming off a bit of a strong outing really away from home. They've gone out and put in a sort of workmanlike performance and pulled the point back away at Swindon with 0-0. Obviously, very different weekend for you, Si, as you will have been watching or listening to the game out in Dublin. Dave, do you want to start us off with the performance?
I thought it was really strong. I thought it actually, going back to what you said last week, Si, in your review, you used the word, in the one word review, you used the word defining. And you went on to say about how the month of October is going to really potentially define our season. And I think this game, like I said, further reinforces what you said, because it was ultimately, it was a game. It was two teams that cancelled each other out. We all thought there was going to be goals. Every other outlet I listened to thought there was going to be goals. But yeah, two teams cancelled each other out. A draw's a fair result, but I think the way we approached it, obviously as the away team, going to a strong team in Swindon who've been pretty free scoring, was really impressive. And it looked like another string to our bow. So in October, we've had free-flowing attacking football, Chesterfield and Harrogate for much of that game. We've had a really strong, gritty victory away at Grimsby, and now we've had another strong, very competent, very confident performance, I thought. Yesterday against Swindon, all of the back four, Rob Hunt came in, they were really solid. I thought Tucker again, he just grows every week. I think he started the season well, but he's getting better. I think he definitely started the season strongly. A lot of that, I think, maybe looking back on it, because he was the only person scoring goals, so that's why we were so high on how he was playing. But now over this last month, and Grimsby and against Swindon, he showed he's growing into that leadership role. And he's been a real rock. I thought we didn't create much, but at the same time, I thought the midfield, the distances between them, the positioning, how they worked together off the ball, I think was really strong. So it goes back again to Reed getting more confident in that sixth position, learning it a bit better, I think. And I think while Bishop didn't affect the game too much with the ball in a creative way. I thought there were a lot of instances that could kind of go under the radar. He was in the right position to nip a potential counter attack or just get on a loose ball, get possession for us, keep us having the control in the game. So yeah, impressed with him as well. Didn't really have the opportunity to get Lisby into the game, but that's going to happen sometimes, and we're lucky enough to have some strength off the bench. To be honest, I don't think Aurora again did himself many favours coming off the bench. He did struggle to retain possession at times, but he did get to the byline a couple of times, which is positive, which he wasn't doing sort of in the sort of his pre-suspension days. And Bick looks strong again. I think Bill Fairley should have scored certainly in the first half. That one that dropped to him in the box and he took a touch and put it wide. But yeah, again, I think it was a really strong performance, the kind of performance that teams who end up in the playoffs put in across the season.
Yeah, definitely. It was that sort of workman-like performance where, we've gone there, we've done what we've needed to do against a very strong side in Swindon and a side who are flying high in League Two and a side that are, really difficult to beat, particularly at home. And I think Danny will have come away relatively pleased with how we got on and what we got out of it. But the game, although it was a 0-0, it wasn't devoid of chances and opportunities for both sides. Particularly at the beginning of the game, there was some sort of scrappy chances wherein Big sort of tried to get the ball through and try to make a bit of a breakthrough. And likewise for Swindon, Aaron Drinnan had a really good chance that sort of put Macy into action and Ollie Palmer hit the post. So, but obviously the big chance falls towards the end of the game. Heck of a ball in from LSE and Dolo to hit Tavide on the head, and it just sort of goes wide of that far post. You think if that chance goes in, that's the game done and dusted, and Colchester will have gone away thinking like they've stolen 3 points. But do you think it's more a case of a point earned this week rather than 2 lost? So,
yeah, definitely. So if we look at October across the board, we've got unbeaten, which, to do for a month is quite an achievement. And going to a team like Swindon, who've come off the back of 2, from their point of view, disappointing results with a loss and a draw, at their place, they're going to want to come out and try and prove a few of their fans wrong because they're starting to get a bit of doubt around the place. So to go there, play a team very much like ourselves who are attack-minded, want to get the ball, want to push forward, and get a point was good.
Mm-hmm.
I think as well as that little bit of self-induced pressure, we're knowing we have gone up to that point unbeaten, that there is a worry of players potentially get worried about any mistakes or anything happening that is going to cost them. But I think looking at October as a whole, the fact that Ellis has come back has been a massive, massive change. And that's coincided at the same time with the midfield clicking and really gelling. And as Dave said, Tucker provided a masterclass, and not just defensively, but he's really grown into the captain armband.
Mm-hmm.
I think now he's doing a lot of the leadership, both through presence, but also performance. It's not do as I say, it's do as I do kind of thing. And even against Swindon, I think that was shown as well. And as Dave's already alluded to, yes, we could have won it. So could they. But I do feel a draw was a fair result. I spent the weekends also in Dublin, but I did listen to the game. You can tell the way the commentary was going. It was very end-to-end, but it sounded very end-to-end without too much happening at either end, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, 0-0. Obviously, I did joke last week when we were doing this. I was hoping for a boring 0-0 draw, so I didn't miss the goal of the season or the game of the season. So, kind of, I guess I got what I want, and be careful what you wish for, sort of thing. So, apologies, Dave, for that, and the other Coley fans that travelled.
I'm okay with it, Si. You're right. I think you earned it.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'll take it. And it's going to be interesting as we're going to come on to the MK game, how we go into that within the FA Cup. But yeah, October's been brilliant. It's been defining. We just need to make sure this isn't the 1 month of the season we all look back on and think, oh, that was really good. The rest of it was pretty poor. They go from there. But we are playing like the team I think we all envisaged we were going to see this season. It's just taken us a bit of time to get there with the injuries and maybe the gelling not quite working in August.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, and I felt, like I alluded to earlier, I felt like it was a really confident performance. I think, in past seasons and towards the start of this season, you'd go kind of, you come back from a 0-0 thinking, oh, good, I'm glad we got out of there with a 0-0. But I think we turned up, we played our football, and it was just two teams that cancel each other out, two good teams cancelling each other out. So, yeah, I understand what Danny said after the game, that, the game was there for the taking, because I think it was, and I think we've shown that we can go up against any team, and that. I'm tempting fate here, but that 11, obviously, maybe Hunt and Kane St Young interchanging, maybe right back, but that 11, I would put that 11 against any team in the division.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. There's a real consistency in the lineups and the performances that's really benefiting our ability to hit a bit of a run of form. It's a confident side that are used to a system, and they're having that consistency in terms of minutes and performance week in, week out at the moment. And potentially after such a strong month in October, there may now be an expectation from youth fans for Colchester United to kick on and keep getting stronger and stronger game by game. But there's also an air of expectation that you alluded to, Si, from Swindon fans on how they should be doing. They were actually booed off the pitch towards the end of the game, and Ian Holloway definitely wasn't a fan of that reaction.
But he stormed down the pitch. We were wondering why he'd done it, because we thought because he was having words with Danny at some point. You could see it about something, but they seemed to respect each other and get on. So we thought it was strange that he just went down the tunnel. But yeah, as it turns out from his interview, it was in response to how their own fans had responded.
I think the problem we've got is that when teams seem to play Danny Cowley teams, there seems to be this almost expectation that it's anti-football, this, and this. Then teams expect their sides to put on a footballing masterclass against these anti-footballing pair of brothers, blah, 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 blah. And so I think we actually do psychologically get under the skin of fans.
We do, and I think it's quite surface level. A lot of the analysis that not everyone has to be as deeply into League Two football as we are, but a lot of it is surface level. Oh, it's we're playing the Cowleys. They're just gonna be a team of cloggers. Oh, and they're 15th in the league, and that's their analysis. So that's how they approach the game and how they think their team will come out. But no, any team with a midfield of Arthur Reed, Teddy Bishop, and Jack Payne is going to play football.
And it's not just those three. I think the fact that we've alluded to before, we've got a team of players that you can target anyone. You can, put two players in Embiid. Lapsley's going to Lisby's going to rock up with goals. You're going to take him out of the game. Then you've got to see Anderson stepping up. Payne can do what he wants from the 10. We're so hard to play against. I think, like I say, teams just assume because of where we are and who's managers, we're going to be this boring side. And when it doesn't go like that, instead of actually standing up and going, we were wrong, they played well, fans seem to want to blame their team rather than to put their hands up and say, actually, no, that was quite an entertaining game of football.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a certain skill to going away from home and putting in a performance like that, being able to take something from a really strong team at their home ground. It really is an indicator of a really good side, I think, and it's an indicator of a tactician in Danny Cowley who knows what he's doing, and he's able to grind those results out regardless of the opposition. And it is a little bit of an unfair label that Colchester United and Danny Cowley in particular are anti-football, because from a Colchester perspective, albeit a biased one, I've seen some very nice football and some really good, exciting patterns of play throughout the season. So, Yeah, it's certainly it's an interesting viewpoint that quite a few opposition fans do have of Colchester United. But overall, it's a performance that I think a lot of youth fans are pleased with. We'll go to the one-word review, I think. We've had a few. We've had Billy, who went with draw, which is
Literal.
quite a good one. We've also had goalless.
Literal.
Yeah, grind and take it, but
Hyphen?
you've got the hyphen in the middle between take and it. Not sure whether that counts either, but we'll go round the group. Si, one word review for that performance.
Dogged.
Dogged. Yeah. Definitely. I think that's a good way to describe Colchester United at times. I think we are quite a dogged team.
I think the fact that how we grounded out the result, it wasn't obviously it wasn't a high scoring game. There's no goals there, but there's lots of shots, not many on target, lots of stuff on the ball without maybe much happening. And I think it's just a dogged draw. We went in there, got a point, as they say in football, win your home games, don't lose away from home, and you're going to have a good season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Dave, what are you going for?
Strong. I thought it was a strong performance. I thought, again, I thought we looked confident in what we were there to do and how we were going to do it, and in the players we had on the pitch. And we got a point. I don't think anyone could have complained if we'd have nicked it 1-0. And if that Ollie Palmer shot had gone in,
mm-hmm.
it would have been incredibly frustrating. But it would have been, I wouldn't have thought any less of the performance, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I still think the team was set up correctly, and I still think they went out and did the job. And yeah, we got a point, fully deserved point, really strong. And I think that is a performance that other teams at the top of the table, because we got Walsall coming up away, we got Notts County coming up away, I think, who are getting better.
Mm-hmm.
That's a performance that they would look at and think we're going to have to work really hard to get anything at home against that team.
Yeah, I think it's a testament to the change in form and the change in performance that teams, when they speak about playing Colchester United, make no qualms in saying that we're going to be a really hard side to play. Like, I think it was Paul Cook ahead of the Chesterfield game was quite clear in the fact that he was coming to Colchester and he was expecting a fight, and obviously he got a bit of a hiding in that regard. But
Artell was similar.
Yeah,
previous to Grimsby.
Yeah, managers are respectful of what Colchester United can do. They're respectful of how Danny and Nicky are setting the side up, and we're going out there after a pretty tricky start and an inconsistent start. We're now going out there and we're doing the business. We're getting the results. So I think if I was going to go for my one-word review, I would say tricky. I think we're a tricky team. We make it difficult for people.
Well, and we do. And another stat which sort of backs up what you were saying, Si, and we've all said about how we are, the perception from other teams isn't actually what we see. I saw a stat out of the 72, only Coventry, who are flying at the top of the championship, have got a better XG than us.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of people don't think XG bears has any relevance, but it does. It is a really good indicator over a period of time. I think within individual games, XG is a bit of a misnomer. It doesn't really give much, but over a period of time, XG does tell you sort of the pattern a team is on and the pattern of how they're playing, and to have an XG like that, and we're now starting to show it. And we said, like before, I mean, this run could have started 2 home games sooner. We battered Crewe, we battered Bristol Rovers. So yeah, we've and it seems we've cracked that, and yeah, I think it's going to be another really interesting month for the teams we've got to play.
Yeah, definitely. Dave, it's been lovely chatting to you about a decent performance against Swindon. Obviously, I think we've got to be mindful of Si's health and well-being this week, given that he ran the Dublin Marathon. Si, you finished it.
Yeah, did
5 hours 32.
5:32. Yeah, don't know how, but yeah, it's brilliant. I've done it. Never ever doing it again.
And yeah, and I mean, it's a heck of an achievement, and you've raised quite a lot of money. The Just Give,
Yeah, but
is it?
giving
It's a Just Giving, isn't it? I
it's
called it a
just gi-
GoFundMe last time,
no,
which
it's just
is
giving.
wrong. It's completely
Isn't
different.
GoFundMe like to pay yourself, isn't it? No, I'm definitely not paying myself.
That's to get
Yeah,
that's
it's
to
to
like
raise money for like things.
to start like little like individual video games or something
Yeah.
like that.
I'm not.
I mean,
yeah,
maybe the
don't.
podcast will get one at some point, but no,
Nobody would pay me enough to do a marathon. I'll tell you that much. Yeah, no, Just Giving's going really well. I've got just over £1,700 so far, and to be fair, a lot of people waited till I'd done it to sponsor me, which I don't blame them. Danny Cowley was on side. He's sent me a good luck message the day before and was very kind to tweet congratulations to me. So yeah, it was Dublin was lovely. The day was brilliant. It's just the 5.5 hours of running around wasn't the best, but hey ho, it's good fun. And just to shout out, if obviously I doubt they're listening, but the best sign for the supporters I saw the way around was keep running if you hate Arsenal. Strangely enough, everybody ran past it.
Well, there you go. Keep running if you hate Arsenal. And yes, the Just Giving page is still active. So if you do want to donate to someone spending their Sunday running around Dublin for 5 hours, please do go and donate. Si, Dave, lovely to chat.
Cool.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you, mate.
Huge thank you to Si and Dave there for sharing their insights into the Swindon game. And, you've got to commend Si for coming on after running a marathon. That is pretty good. But we move forward. Colchester United will be playing MK Dons in the FA Cup, and the U's traditionally, certainly while I've been a Colchester United fan, haven't fared too well in the FA Cup. And I was joined by U's fan Sam to get the lowdown on our top 5 and bottom 5 FA Cup ties as Colchester United fans. Hope you enjoy. Welcome back to Beyond the Barside. I am joined by U's fan Sam, and Colchester United will be hosting MK Dons in the first round of the FA Cup, a competition for me that has never been overly successful as a Colchester United fan that started following the U's post-millennium, but for lots of people there has been some magic within the FA Cup, and we are going to look at our top and bottom 5 FA Cup ties as a Colchester United fan. Sam, you've been very good, and you've researched the games, and you've done it based on facts and data and stuff like that. I've done it based off what I can remember. So it's 2 very different top and bottom 5s, but I think a few will overlap, I'm sure. Sam, do you want to kick us off with your 5th best FA Cup tie as a Colchester United fan?
Sure thing. So this was a tough choice. I was really torn between 2 different games to go in at number 5, but I've gone for the 9-1 home win against Leamington in November 2005.
Mm-hmm.
It does seem to be, from my research, the biggest gulf between the U's position and the position of the opponent, with us being 3rd tier and Leamington being 9th tier at the time. But a 9-1 home win with all of that 2006 promotion cast getting on the act, you just got to love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's one that's in my top 5. I've got it a bit higher, but
Okay.
yeah, I'll go into it a little bit more when I mention it. But I've gone for Sudbury.
Okay.
Purely because as a Colchester fan that has started watching the U's, 2000 was my first season, so most of the ties that I've seen Colchester United play, we've gone out in the first round.
Of course.
So it was slim pickings, really. And literally the only reason I've chosen Sudbury as my 5th favourite tie is the fact that, A, it was close. I live on the outskirts of Ipswich, so it's very easy for me to get there. And Sylvester Jasper scored a worldie from the corner of the box, sort of lobbed the keeper in the far end. That is pretty much what I'm going to go for there. We won 4-0, and it was live
That
on
was
BBC.
the one. Yeah, so he did. I saw Sil Jasper being linked back to the EFL this summer. I think he's been playing in somewhere in Eastern Europe. But anyway, let's not make this a transfer targets episode. But yeah, good game away at Sudbury. I actually wanted to go, but I didn't have a season ticket at that point. So my dad went alone, and he said it was a good game. So just got his recounting of that one to go off, and it was on TV actually. I do remember watching it on TV, but it's not quite the same. It did look like a proper tight knit atmosphere. You're down at a lower league local rival, and like you, I sort of live between Colchester and Ipswich, so nice little drive across the countryside to Sudbury. So sticking with the same season, I've gone with the 2-1 away win at Sheffield United, January 2006. Just bit of an upset here. It wasn't Premier League opposition, but it was against a team bound for the Premier League who did go up that season, and yeah, it was round 3 in that excellent season from both the league and cup perspective. I'm sure a game that will bring back a lot of happy memories for Hughes fans. Neil Dans and Gareth Williams with the goals. Gareth Williams, a player who played for us under Parkey and Witten, so one that often doesn't get talked about that much when discussing that excellent era, but an excellent result against a top team from a division above. One that really gave us confidence that we could go and do something quite special in that FA Cup season, and I guess gave us confidence for the league as well. It was just after we'd beaten Nottingham Forest 3-1 at home in the league, so confidence sky high and just good times all round.
My number 4 is Coventry in the replay where we won 3-1. Rowan Vine got the hat trick.
That's a good one.
Really good performance from Rowan Vine. He got a lot of plaudits from it. Has mentioned since that he wasn't particularly having a good season with Colchester United. I don't think he particularly enjoyed his time playing under Phil Parkinson, but a very memorable performance, and one that was under the lights at Layer Road. So one that sticks out for me.
Good stuff. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, cool. Right, we're into the deep end now. We're going top 3. What have you got going third?
Okay, so it's the only defeat in my top 5. I suppose only defeat in the first game at least, and it is Chelsea 3, Call You 1. One of our most famous games. There's a sort of mural as you go into the West Stand depicting. I think it is the point that Ricardo Carvalho's own goal went in to give us the lead, and the fact that we almost took it back to Layer Road. We went ahead in the 28th minute through that own goal that you can see in our intro, and you discussed it as well with Richard Garcia when he came on, because it was his cross that Carvalho turned in. And the fact that although they leveled it up pretty soon afterwards, we almost, they just got the 2 late goals and their quality shone through, as they say. So the fact that, we gave a great account of ourselves, we almost took it back to Layer Road for the replay, and it's a game that I'm sure will live long in the memory of Hughes fans.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, another one that I've got in the top 5. I've got it a little bit higher. Yeah, it really was a great day out for a lot of Colchester United fans, and one of the memories for me is the memory of queuing outside Layer Road to get a ticket for the game away at Chelsea. But my number 3 is one that you've already mentioned, and it is the 9-1 home victory to Leamington Spa. You've mentioned again how big the gulf was between the two sides in terms of their level and where they played. But the scoreline itself, 9-1, it was, I think at the time, the largest victory we'd had. I would imagine that's probably still the case. I can't remember another one coming through that's larger than an 8-goal deficit. But I remember Leamington also scoring an absolute rocket for their goal.
Yeah, arguably the best of the 10 goals.
Yeah, it was the best. It was easily the best of the 10 goals, and their fan comes over the barricade to celebrate as well. And it was it felt almost a little bit disheartening when we scored more than sort of 5 or 6, because it was very much a cup final for Leamington.
Exactly.
But it was the beginning of what was a really successful couple of years for Colchester United, and one that sticks out in my memory for sure.
Certainly was.
Yeah. No, great game. But you've obviously done a bit more research than me, and I'm guessing if Chelsea's number 3, the top two are going to be fantastic. What have you got as number two?
So I've gone for Call You 2, Arsenal 2 from 1959.
Okay.
I think just Arsenal, they were finished third in the league that season. Third in the first division. So one of the best teams in the country. To get a draw at Layer Road, especially after going 2-0 down and then coming back with 2 goals in the 80th and 82nd minute, just shows great resolve, really. We were having a good season ourselves that year. We're third in the third tier at that point. So we were no slouches.
Mm-hmm.
But to be able to go up against one of the top teams in the country, we did lose the replay 4-0 at Highbury, but I think that's one that really, really has to go down as one sort of the second best FA Cup game of all time, just because of the quality of the opposition and really, really showing that fortress Layer Road mentality.
Yeah, absolutely. I think any game that Colchester United can nick a result against a team like Arsenal is one that needs to be considered a success. But obviously, was it 1959 you said?
That's the one, January 1959.
Yeah, it's a bit beyond my my memory bank, unfortunately. But definitely one to have in the top 5 for sure. I have gone for the Sheffield United game that you've already alluded to, the 2-1. Really good championship side that ended up having quite a lot of success further down the line. And I think they'd not long come down from being in the Prem the first time themselves. Just a good victory for Colchester in a really nostalgic spell for me, those couple of years as a Colchester fan, given my age and when I started watching Colchester United, that spell is sort of the golden years for me. So anything around that era sort of automatically goes into a top 3.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, I'm going to assume you've done quite a bit of research for this. There is one FA Cup game that most Colchester United fans know of, even if they weren't alive in 1971, but it is one that they refer to constantly throughout our history. I'm assuming you've gone with Colchester United Leeds.
Of course. Yeah, that would be controversial to leave it out entirely. It is, of course, Colchester United 3, Leeds 2 from 1971. 16,000 fans at Layer Road that day, packed in, sort of the standing era. We went 2-0 up. It's that case where you go 2-0 up against a top team and then it really rallies them. It's a bit like poking the wasp's nest. But then from Leeds getting back into the game at 2-2, for us to then score a third and win the game, it's just fantastic. Leeds had 10 internationals in their side, and our keeper, Graham Smith, made this phenomenal save at 3-2 just to keep us ahead, to keep us in the game. We would, of course, crash out to Everton 5-0 in the next round in front of a crowd of 53,000 at Goodison Park. So, of course, neither of us were alive at this point, but what a day that must have been for use. And I love some of the details about this game. Apparently, they put chairs and other obstacles by the side of the Layer Road pitch to give the illusion that the pitch was smaller and just spook Leeds a bit. So again, it's that true fortress Layer Road mentality where the big boys are turning up and they're going home empty-handed. To this day, the only time we have beaten a top flight side in the FA Cup, I believe. So a special day and has to be number 1. I think there's no debate about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't also know that fact that it's the only top flight side that we've beaten. That is
in the FA Cup.
That is some hoodoo to break in the FA Cup. Although I'm choosing 5 games based off the fact that we've very rarely gone past the first round, so it does make a lot of sense. My number 1 is one you've already mentioned, and again, it is a loss. It's the Chelsea game for purely because of how good of an event it was, how many Colchester United fans filled in that corner at Stamford Bridge, quite how many people were queuing outside Layer Road in the early hours of the morning to grab tickets. It was a very weird season for us because we went to every game, but we didn't have a season ticket. So it was we just sort of paid on the door every day at every game at Layer Road. So we didn't actually fall into that season ticket bracket when we played Chelsea. So we were sort of in and amongst the general population trying to get the ticket. So it was really sort of tense in terms of whether we'd get a ticket or not. And then you get to the game, you outplay them for probably the first 45 minutes of the game. Richard Garcia, as you've alluded to, sets up Ricardo Carvalho to get the own goal. Mark Yates on the other wing had an absolute worldie, hits the post quite early doors. You've then got obviously Wayne Brown at centre-back who, you know, marked Hernan Crespo out the game as well as Didier Drogba. It was a really David and Goliath affair. I recall reading sort of the notes in the programme at Chelsea. A lot of people that had just played in the Euros. It was the Euros or the World Cup before.
I guess it was.
Would have been Euro 2004.
Yeah, because you had Ferreira, Carvalho.
Yeah. Maniche was in there as well. I mean, yeah, a lot of them would have won it, obviously being Portugal.
Makelele, I guess they would have had.
Yeah, and then obviously Joe Cole, Frank Lampard, Didier Drogba come on.
Didn't Portugal lose in the final to Greece that year?
They did. It was the Greece one. So you had finalists. Yes, they did. Yeah, so it would have been Maniche, Paulo Ferreira, Ricardo Carvalho. There was a few Portuguese players in the side, obviously managed by one of the greats in Jose Mourinho as well. So I've gone for Chelsea as my number one.
Good stuff. I like that.
But of course, Leeds United, you know, when you look at it objectively, Leeds United probably does go number one. But I was born in 1994, so I can't really claim that.
Yeah, I was born 3 years later after you, and I only sort of moved to the area a few years before that 05-06 season, so wasn't really going that much at that point. So most of my knowledge from that point is vicarious, I'm afraid. But it's great to hear about the Chelsea game from somebody who actually was there.
Yeah, no, definitely. It was a heck of a day out. But obviously those are the highlights that I found quite tricky to find 5 of in the end. But the bottom 5, I was able to find quite a few games that stuck out in my memory. Again, I've gone off memories and what I can remember as a Hughes fan. You've gone off well-researched thoughts and ideas. We'll start with you, your 5th worst Hughes FA Cup tie, Sam.
Okay, so as you say, my long list was a bit longer for the worst games, but I have narrowed it down into a bottom 5. So in at number 5, so that is the least bad of the 5, just to avoid any doubt. I've gone Yeovil 5, Collier 1 from November 2000. I think it's just the fact that this is quite a heavy defeat and they were 2 leagues below at this point. Obviously, Huish Park away 6 years later would become a very, very happy place for the U's when they got up into League One. But just the nature of this in the first round, you're being dumped out to a team two leagues below you under Steve Whitten with Doogie scoring the consolation for the U's. And I feel this late 90s, early 2000s was a really barren time for the U's in the FA Cup before we sort of turned it around, getting Blackburn away and then Chelsea away in the FA Cup by the mid-noughties. But yeah, around the turn of the millennium, the FA Cup was just not really throwing us a bone.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I've gone for one around a similar era. I've gone for Chester at home, 1-0 loss.
Oh, that was on my long list.
Yeah. So Colchester lose out to a conference side in Chester at home, 1-0. Bit of a miserable affair, bit of a boring game. I mean, Chester themselves ended up having a half decent year. I think they got to the playoff semi-finals that year.
That's it.
For Colchester, it's one of those really you should be winning, and it's one that we didn't, and sort of set a precedent for the rest of the list that I've got.
Of course. Okay.
Right. Who have you gone in for number 4?
Chelmsford 3, Colchester 1, November 2012. This was one I did go to, and I just remember that running track stadium. It's not the most atmospheric, not the most interesting place to go to. No disrespect to Chelmsford, and somewhere I thought I might never go in my life, but it happened. We lost 3-1, and it was under Joe Dunn. We were actually had an all right start that season. We were 12th at the time, but we'd ultimately only stay up on the final day that season. And yeah, just to sort of you kind of expect to win the game, and then the non-league side, they just really turn up on the day. Richard Brindley was actually playing for Chelmsford that day, who would later come to us. So that's a bit of an interesting stat, but just disappointing, really. That's all there is to say about it.
Yeah, no, and I've gone for exactly the same game. So Melbourne Park is obviously an interesting ground, given that it's an athletics stadium as well as a football stadium. Local derby, a game that Colchester United fans would have been quite pleased to have had in the diary, given that it's close and, a ground that potentially a lot of youth fans wouldn't have visited at that time unless they're very keen football fans that like to go when Colchester United aren't playing.
Exactly.
And we end up getting beaten quite convincingly. And obviously there would have been a potential opportunity this season for us to play Chelmsford. They've got a local derby against Braintree in this round of the FA Cup, which is really exciting. A lot of Col U fans would have potentially wanted Chelmsford, Braintree or Malden. I'm personally quite glad we've got neither, given this result.
Yeah, I would have taken Braintree, but not Chelmsford or Malden. I think Braintree just to the Cowley connection, and they have so many of our former players. But yeah, I don't think I really would have wanted to go away to Malden. It's just a bit too pre-season.
Okay, fair enough. Hoping Barry's not listening, and because
sorry, Barry.
He'll be furious. But I think given the amount of former players they've got as well, I would have potentially wanted to swerve that too. But who have you gone in for at number 3?
So I've gone for the 1-0 home defeat to Oxford City, November 2017. Again, just we didn't really turn up. A team. This would have been 2 leagues below because they were National South at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Just you think you're playing a team 2 tiers below you at home. You should at least score or be in the game. I just think we perhaps went in without enough intensity. They were completely up for it, and they nicked it. So another disappointing result.
Yeah, it is one on my list. It's a little bit higher as well. So I'll talk about that a little bit deeper as I go on. But yeah, it really was a rubbish game, and it was one of those games where my usual seat was not even up for sale because the ticket sales were that low. I ended up going in the West Stand. So my number 3 is one that we spoke about in the long list. 7-0 to Preston.
Ooh, yeah, that was in my long list, as you say.
Yeah.
I just didn't sneak into my 5, but I'm interested to hear what it did from your perspective.
Any game where Chris Brown's able to score against us, we've probably not done our job defensively. Very good player at pressing, not well renowned for his goal scoring antics. So
that's it. And John Parkins scored a hat-trick, didn't he? So it was had both of the under the cosh presenters.
Which I don't know whether there's many games where they've both scored.
I looked this up because I thought exactly the same thing, and there were 1 or 2 more games where, because I think the only time they played together was at Preston, but they did both score in the same game on other occasions. So I thought that too.
Yeah, I think potentially Doncaster they might have played together as well, but definitely Preston. Maybe. They've both scored against us before. I'm well aware of that. But yeah, I mean, it's just any game where you're losing 7-0, regardless of what tier the opposition is in, is not good for us.
Exactly. And I think Lyle Taylor is going on under the cosh this week from what I see. So I'm sure a lot of Hughes fans will be eagerly awaiting that.
Yeah, who have you gone for as number 2?
So I've gone for Hughes 1, Marine 1. Marine win on penalties, November 2020, behind closed doors owing to the pandemic. 8th tier side, you don't want to be going out at home to an 8th tier side when you're in the 4th tier. That's all I can say. Appreciate that we didn't have the backing of the crowd behind us, but not sure that should really be an excuse. Josh Bowie, unfortunately, probably a player that Hughes fans don't remember too well, but he was the unfortunate misser of the penalty in the penalty shootout. Marine scored all of their 5 penalties, which is impressive. Got to hand it to them. Also, bit of trivia from what I can see in my bottom 5 games. Miles Welch Hayes, the only player to have played for us and against us in the bottom 5. Because he played against us for Oxford City, then by this time he played for us. So
I don't think that's overly surprising, having seen him play, that it's not the top 5, to be honest. But he was in the Oxford City side, wasn't he?
That's correct.
Yeah, that Marine game. Josh Bowie, there was a lot of excitement because obviously he came from Man U.
Man U, yeah, and then he'd been in the Dutch league, Breda, before coming to us, and I looked up where he is now. Last was playing a year ago in the French 4th division, and is still only 26. So I thought he would have been older by now. But yeah, he could. I think he could recommend be a smart move for a sort of lower league team maybe non-league team in the UK or France.
Yeah, absolutely. And given what's sort of been happening within the lower league in the UK and France, to be honest, stranger things have happened. So I'm sure a move could be afoot for him. Okay, yeah, I like that. It's actually in my list as well, but I went for Oxford as my number 2. It was rubbish. It was a really rubbish game. I remember I used to sit in the East stand. That wasn't open, so I had to sit in the West stand. The seats were really close together where we'd chosen. It was really uncomfortable. We didn't lay a glove on them. Didn't lay a glove on them at all. It was rubbish. And the highlight of the game was hearing Sam Walker shout, "Move the ball quicker," and the whole ground cheered, because that was the only sort of bit of personality that was shown by Colchester United during that game.
Yeah, when you get into ironic cheering territory, it's not going well.
Exactly. And what have you gone for as your number 1?
Okay, so 10 miles northeast of Newcastle lies the small town of Bedlington. And this is where Colchester United were beaten 4-1 on November 14th, 1998. So we were 3rd tier, had just gone up. They were 8th tier. One of those games where there is a big unknown, unknown quantity, because they're just so far down the pyramid. Probably an element of turning up expecting to win, but you're going away. You're going to a tight ground where the fans are really going to be behind the team, on your back, and we just crumbled. So that is my worst used FA Cup game of all time, the 4-1 away defeat at Bedlington Terriers.
I think that's a very good one to put in. I've gone with one that you've already mentioned and that we've already spoken about. I've gone with Marine. Again, live on BBC. BBC Sport, I believe I was watching it on. It was
I also
on the
remember
website.
watching it. That's correct. Yeah, I think I watched it through Red Button on the TV.
The only sort of memory that I have from it is Harry Pell arguing with one of the coaches. It was one of the players' dads as well, something like that. Harry Pell did his best to try and get something going, and we just didn't have it in us at all. It was at home. I'm just double checking. Pell scored.
These do all blend into one. But I tried to remember who not to portray myself as some kind of call you encyclopedia. I tried to remember who scored the penalty who missed the penalty for us. And
Josh
my guess would have been
Bowie,
Harry. I never would have got Josh Bowie in 100 years. So
yeah, it was a strange one.
I'd completely forgotten about him.
I mean, I'm looking at the side now. Gherkin in goal, Welch Hayes, Eastman, Shomi, Bramall, Chilvers, Pell, Senior, Poku, Harriet, Brown.
It's a good team. It's
a
not
really
a second
strong
string at all.
team. It's not a second string team. Tommy Smith, Michael Falevi, Josh Bowie all come on. Again, players that are good. They were playing for us quite regularly at that point. Yeah, just a disappointing day all round. So I've gone for Colchester United losing on penalty to Marine as my bottom 5. Sam, you've made some brilliant choices, I think. I think you've definitely covered all bases in terms of eras of Colchester United success. But if anyone does have a different top 5 or bottom 5, please feel free to send us a message on Instagram or X, or leave a comment on the episode wherever you are listening. You can do it on YouTube. You can do it on Spotify. Don't have Apple. Don't know if you can comment on Apple, but I'm assuming you probably can. Sam's shaking his head.
I
You
don't think
probably can't.
I think you can review the podcast generally.
Okay.
But yeah, you can't leave episodes.
I wouldn't leave a review with your bottom 5 Colchester United FA Cup ties, but you can if you want to. It helps the algorithm. Sam, it's been great chatting to you. And again, unbelievable football knowledge from you, by the way. So thank you very much, mate.
Well, likewise, and thanks to you. And just a shout out to Call You Data. That is the Call You archive site run by Grayson Late, big Call You fan. And without that, the research for this episode would have been much more difficult. So yeah, bit part of my own knowledge, but also partly Call You Data, which was a huge help in pulling together the details for this episode.
Absolutely, yeah, wonderful resource to have that's been there for quite a few years now. So thank you very much to Grayson for that. Sam, lovely to chat, and we'll chat again soon.
See you soon.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Big thank you to Sam there for sharing his pretty well-researched ideas there, and I can only apologise for my half-baked top 5 and bottom 5 there. But we move forward to that MK Dons game, and I was joined again by Si and Dave to get the lowdown on what we think is going to happen on Saturday. Hope you enjoy. Welcome back to Beyond the Barside. I am joined as ever by Si and Dave, and the U's are in the FA Cup. It is the first round of the Magic Cup, and we are at home to MK Dons. Probably not the draw that anyone would have been after, given that there were several local non-league sides in the hat. And MK Dons are fairly decent and in our league, so we'll be playing them twice already. But it's a tie nonetheless. Si, are you a fan of the FA Cup?
I am. Now I come from sort of the age group, if you like, probably the last age group of when the FA Cup was probably to a boy almost the next best day of the year to Christmas Day. You had a day of football on TV. You know, this was before you had 3-4 games a day live. This was like the event. You had the tea breakfasts were shown live, and you see them get on the bus. You saw that sometimes they're on the bus on the TV, and you know, it was just all about the FA Cup. It really was the magic of the cup. You'd see the big teams live every now and again. You get the Minions get like the year that Coventry beat Spurs, and she had Wimbledon winning. It's a crazy gang. All these sort of big events. Over the last couple of years, obviously, it's lost a bit of its glamour, so to speak, as other clubs, potentially the Premiership clubs, look at the European competitions and money elsewhere. So maybe it's not taken seriously, but it's still the FA Cup at the end of the day, no matter how you view it. Is the oldest cup competition in the world. It's got so much history behind it. So, and for a team like us, I think it's something we can have a bit of a punt in. The league has got to be our priority. You know, we're not, as much as I'd love to, we're not going to win the FA Cup, but we are giving ourselves a grounding to do well in the league. So, being MK, I'm glad we're at home, so we haven't got to travel there, and also being, like alluded to there, the boring draw. But it'll be interesting to see where we go with team selection. That would be the big one, because it's very risk over reward to me, do we go with an untrained side in a competition that could be a bit fleeting and risk injury, but then at the same time, do you change the side and potentially risk defeat and breaking the momentum that we've built up? Then if you don't change the side and players get injured, we could potentially lose the momentum longer term in the league if people are out long term. So I think we'll see a few changes, maybe not complete wholesale, maybe midfield and up front and potentially in defence. I wouldn't be surprised if Tom Flanagan was to come back in, just because obviously he's been trained, he's close. This gives him another week on grass. It'll give him time to get minutes back. And I'm hoping, we'll see, Roddy Harvey's going to be able to play. I think it'll be good for him to get in, to start in the midfield in a competition that is against a side in our league who are doing well, just to show what he can do on a bigger stage, so to speak. Obviously, I know he's focused in the Rumbelows Cup or whatever it is nowadays, pizza trophy thing, and come with the bench in the league. This would be nice now to see him actually do his thing, start and show everyone why he could be contention, should be in contention for a regular spot in the first team.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what you've said about that potential loss of momentum off the back of either making too many changes or not making enough changes, it's a really sort of fine line to tread, and I think it will be one that Danny considers really carefully this week in the build up to the game. You mentioned Ronnie Harvey. Obviously, he's a player that you think very highly of. He played in the Essex Senior Cup game against Averley, so you were able to see him in a bit more of a senior environment against Averley. How impressed were you with his performance there? Because it seemed like he had a good game.
Now, probably people listening to this are going to think I'm being very biased, and obviously I'm going to say he played well, but it did feel to me at moments in the game he was one of the few players on the pitch that was actually willing to try something. So he was already going down to an early goal, but he was wanting the ball, looking for the ball. Everything that did go well seemed to go through him. He was just, when you need a player to take the game by the scruff of the neck, so to speak, he seemed to be willing to do it. Obviously, we did go out, we did lose, but I think he's one of the few players that came out of that with any credit. And he's now getting to the stage where he's playing 21 football, or 23s, whatever it is nowadays, and he's in and around the first team. I think we get to the stage now we need to get him out of the 23s into the first team on the bench and playing football. Otherwise, we're in risk of him playing too much, and when he gets his time in the first team, he's kind of already had X amount of games that week, or 1 game, 2 games that week, and when he comes on, maybe he isn't as fresh as he could be.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
A conundrum, but I know we'll see. We're here to talk about the FA Cup, not me wax lyricals about Ronnie Harvey. Otherwise, this episode would be about 3 hours long.
You've probably got your own podcast for that.
Yeah, so I should do, shouldn't I? Yeah. I could start the fan club. I'll be on something there.
But it is important to tie sort of all these things together, because as you've mentioned, it is a cup competition that we may not have the squad or the resources to sort of spread ourselves across these multiple competitions and have a good go at all of them. The FA Cup probably isn't the priority. We're probably not going to win the FA Cup, and historically we very rarely get beyond the first or second round. So the likelihood is there will be changes. You've mentioned Ronnie Harvey coming in off the back of some impressive 23s performances, as well as that performance against Averley. Dave, who do you see coming in and coming out for this game?
I think it'll be a strong team. I think there will be a couple of changes. Personally, I'd be tempted to give Ellis a rest and bring Powell in. I don't think that will happen, but it's just every time Ellis goes in for a tackle, because he's so important, I'm just like, oh. And then when he gets up and carries on, I'm like, oh, thank God. So I do actually still think Ellis will play, but there must be a temptation to protect him, because as we've seen this month, if he plays, we win.
Yeah.
But I think up front, I think Ronnie Harvey will be in the squad. I think he'll get minutes. I don't think he'll start. I don't think Samson's that. I think Mbik will come out for Goodwin.
Okay.
Because he's something of a similar profile. He needs minutes. He hasn't had any since he came back. He was on the bench on Saturday. So I think I think Samson will get minutes. It depends on, and again, with Mbik, maybe it's if he wants to keep his momentum. I don't know. I would be very surprised if there was, to be honest, but I don't know if there might be an agreement with Charlton about whether he's allowed to play in the FA Cup. But yeah, I don't think that'll be the case, but we don't know. Yeah, I can see Goodwin starting. I can also see Lisby being given a rest. Awura coming back in, trying to hopefully build his confidence, get him a bit more momentum, and maybe in J.K. Gordon even coming back into the squad. So I think he'll probably be quite disappointed to be out of the squad. Because like you said a couple of weeks ago, when he's played, he's looked okay. And he really is a rhythm player and a confidence player. And I can also see, I think Jack Payne will start, but depending on the state of the game, he may just be given an hour, maybe give Williams a bit more of a chance to do something because his time has been limited. I think we've all been relatively impressed with what he's done.
Yeah, absolutely.
When he has come on recently, but it has been in games, sort of less high profile games, really. Well, as I say, that Chesterfield he came on, was instrumental in certainly one of the goals, maybe two, not sure. Certainly one of the goals, the final goal. So yeah, I can see there being changes, but maybe 3. Certainly no more than 4. Just like you guys have both said, the delicate balance between keeping your momentum and protecting your squad, because we are thin in areas. We're stronger in more areas than we thought we might actually be at the start of the season. But yeah, that midfield, I think we need to protect. Even though I do think the 3 of them will start, but then maybe even only now he's played 4 or 5 games now. 4 games might come back in the squad. And again, depending on the game state, you might get 20 minutes of. I don't think this will happen, but you might get 20 minutes of only and Harvey in the middle.
Or obviously
that would be bold, but yeah, we'll see.
And obviously, there's always the option of Flanagan or Cafour Jr. Coming in to pair with Araujo and Tucker pushing into midfield. So you could really complete.
Si, your voice just. How did you do that?
I know.
That sounded
just
like Aaron. That was
roulette.
It's catching.
Uncanny.
I think it's a fairly good opportunity. Maybe not to bring players in to start, but to certainly include a few players within the match day squad or within the wider match day side to come in and experience that. I think you're right. I don't think Ronnie Harvey will start, but I do think he'll be within the squad. And I think depending on the state of the game and how we feel about it, I think he will be involved at some point. It's, Goodwin, depending on what stage he is with his rehab and how you mentioned how Charlton may feel about Mbik playing. Oxford may have a similar sort of viewpoint themselves. And then you've also got Flanagan, who potentially is on his road to recovery too. So, there are people that could be coming back from injury that could come in and get some minutes that they need within a competitive game. Similarly, there are younger players who want to get some experience within the squad, i.e. Ronnie Harvey, Jaden Williams, Sam Cafour Jr. potentially might get a bit of a game. You'd probably want to keep Powell relatively sharp. We don't know what Kane Vincent-Young's like at the moment with his facial injury. So there's lots of options for players to come in, and I think it will be an interesting guessing game, suggesting who the starting 11 could be.
I think it's probably most interesting up front, really, between those 3. Do you keep Mbik going because he's on such a roll? From what I've seen, I don't know whether you two agree. I'm not sure he's a player who needs to be playing all the time. You probably can take him out for a week. I don't think that'll affect his momentum. I just get that feeling. Obviously, we've only seen him for 5 games now, really.
Yeah.
But I think he probably is someone who can come out for whatever reason and then go back in. And then, it's whether Samson or Goodwin starts. There's a case for both. Samson needs games. Samson needs that spark. He needs to get that sharpness back.
Mhm.
So yeah, when that ball came over to him, just, please score. Obviously, because we want to win the game, but just
Yeah.
for him, it would have been great. But yeah, I think that's probably the most interesting. Yeah, I think.
Just
I
to,
think. Sorry, go on.
sorry, Dave. Sorry
Huh?
to butt in there, but just to sort of build on your point with the header that went wide. If Mbik misses that header, I don't think it's made as big a deal of compared to it being Samson, if that makes sense.
No, I
Obviously,
agree.
you're not far out from goal. It's quite a clear-cut header. You probably would want your striker to score it. But the fact that it's Samson often overemphasizes the point a little bit. So maybe, maybe it's good that he can come in the FA Cup and sort of, have a bit of a fire in his belly and prove some people wrong. Who knows? Who knows what goes on in the training ground? We're obviously not there to see it and not there to see who's earning their stripes and earning their opportunities. But we'll do a bit of a prediction for the game. Obviously, MK Dons are a really, really good side. They're fourth at the moment at time of recording. That won't change because there aren't any games between now and then. But they're fourth and they're a very good side. They're a side that are being backed very, very well financially. They're a side that have got some very good players for the league. They're also a side that they've made a few changes. They've brought quite a few people in over the summer, and often that leads to a bedding in period that can sort of create some inconsistency. They lost at the weekend to Bromley, so they may want to make some changes themselves. So it could just be a game where form goes out the window because both sides have got a few sort of the word that comes to mind is second string, but I don't think that's fair to say. Players that aren't necessarily the key starters at the moment are probably going to come in for both sides and play. So, Dave, what are you thinking? Do you think we get a result? Do you think we go through to the next round?
I'm gonna say we're gonna win on penalties.
Oh, okay. I like that.
So, I think it'll be a tough game. I think, like you said, Aaron, it's going to be two good teams who will make changes, but changes that shouldn't affect their flow too much. So I think it'll be a tight game. I can see it going all the way, and I think the way we're playing, the confidence we're playing with, the players we've got, I think we'll win a penalty shootout.
I like it. Just to sort of build on that point, who do you have as your who do you think? Yeah, who do you have as your takers, and who do you think?
Well, it all depends.
Who would you rely
who's
on?
on?
Yeah,
Well,
it is a weird one, isn't it?
Well, obviously Payne.
Yeah.
First up, and if he's on the pitch at the end, I think Goodwin.
Mm-hmm.
Reed's penalty against Gillingham was an absolute textbook penalty. Smashed it in the top corner. Ellis, if he's on, so caveating all of these.
Yeah,
I won't say every time. Main caveat if they're on.
Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll change the question ever so slightly to one a bit more rogue. Is there anyone in our squad that you think's got a rogue penalty in their locker, like a Panenka or some sort of
a Panenka? I could see
skilled based penalty.
I could definitely see Bishop trying a Panenka, and I think he'd pull it off. Yeah,
you think he pulls it off? You don't think it's a Giovanni Brown type thing?
No. Oh, have you ever wanted to run onto the pitch and grab someone more than anyway? In anger, I should say.
Could have felt sorry for him. It's up to you.
No, not absolutely not. Then, but I think, I think Bishop would try, and I think he scored it.
I like it. Does that Giovanni Brown one go down as the worst penalty you've seen from a Colchester player?
No, I remember seeing. We went to York away in an FA Cup replay. It was at York's old ground. Well, I've not been at it that long, so it's not really relevant. But Gavin Johnson took a penalty with his left foot. We lost on penalties. It was a Tuesday. It was absolutely freezing cold. We lost on penalty. You know when, from your perspective, so we're behind the goal at the far end, so the penalties were at the far end to us, and he took a penalty with his left foot. that went so high and wide. At no point did it, in our perspective, cross the lines of the goal, if that makes sense. So you couldn't. It was almost. He managed to shank it at an almost right angle with the outside of his foot, and pretty much went out of the ground. So I think that's the worst penalty I've seen us take. But you know, I don't. Anyone who steps up, tries to smash a penalty, gets it wrong. Okay, fine. Anyone that gets up and tries to make themselves the story,
Yeah.
that is what. Oh, right now I'm tense.
It wasn't just that; it's the fact the keeper dived, and then had time to
Got
get
back
back
up.
He got back
and
up and
save
picked the
it.
ball
That's
up.
what was. I think that's what made it worse for me. That's what makes it the worst penalty I've seen, purely because the goalkeeper went down and then was able to get up again.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ultimate indignity.
That is, yeah, I think it probably is the worst penalty I've seen from a Colchester United player. But no, cool. I like the fact that you've gone for a rogue one with the penalty shootout there, Dave. It makes my job a lot harder making the graphic. I don't know how I'm going to fit that in. But
Good. To be honest, I think we'll win comfortably 2-0. But that is mine.
that's your main aim. No, I like it. I like the fact you've gone for something different. Si, what are you going for?
I'm going for a 2-1 win. I think, like you said, both sides will bring in their fringe players and make the changes. But I do feel when it comes to the league, MK Dons are under a lot of pressure this year to go up.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, missed out how they have, the amount of money they've spent, and what their owners and fan base seem to have as their objective for the year is almost promotion or bust kind of route. So I think they're going to take the cup competitions a lot less seriously than maybe they could do in order to facilitate their league ambitions.
It's a good point, actually. Yeah.
So therefore, I think I'm going to go for 2-1, and it's going to be Payne and Anderson who are going to score. But man of the match is going to be Ronnie Harvey, even if he plays 10 minutes.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And I really do hope Ronnie comes in and plays and scores, because you ran a marathon and you deserve some sort of indication.
Some happiness in my life.
Yeah, you really
this
do.
weekend.
You deserve some light. I think it's going to be a 1-0 either way. I think one of the teams is going to nick it.
All right, so that's
on.
your prediction. You think one of the teams? Thank you, Aaron, for that.
One of the teams is going to win a game.
One of the teams is going to be in the
win
next
game.
round. You can take that to the bank. Thank you,
no, I think you're right. I think MK Dons are going to make a lot of changes. I think we're going to make changes too. I think towards the end of the game, you're going to see two sides with not a lot of regular
He's not going to say
starters.
anything, is he, Si? He's just going to leave. He's going to leave this.
It's kind of covering so many bases that it's going to be next week. It's be like, yeah, I was right about that. Well,
yeah, because I'm learning from you. You're the master of it. That's why
everything. Yeah, but I always go like firm on something. Eventually, you just
I'm getting there. It's
mate, you make a brilliant politician, wouldn't you? He's going around the houses that answer the question.
People have listened to this for an hour, and at the end of it, Aaron has said one of the teams will go.
I haven't got. I think towards the end of the game, two sides are going to have their sort of younger players that haven't been getting minutes on the pitch, and I think at that point, form goes out the window, and someone's just going to nick it towards the end. I'll say
either side. It could be MK or it could be Colchester.
Still, you've tried to say it's coming.
All right, I think MK are going to do us 1-0.
Oh,
that's
mate,
what I'm going to go for.
That's how you finish it.
Yeah,
it's all about stack them up and knock them down, eh?
I was going to say that we're going to win and Sam Kafour Jr. is going to get the goal, but I'm going to say MK are going to do us 1-0. 85th minute. There you go.
I really hope it's 1-0 so Kafour Jr. gets the goal now.
Yeah, I mean, we've not got money on it. That would be a good potential sponsorship. Some sort of like league score prediction league for fans that they could sign up for. If there's a company out there that do that, there's Who Knows Wins, I know, do that with a few podcasts. But I don't think they're listening to us, to be honest. And if you're still listening to us at the moment...
Mate, that's horrendous. Purgatory, that is.
Sorry?
Who Dares Wins, really?
Who Knows Wins is called.
Yeah, exactly. That's where it's come from, isn't it?
Probably. What, Only Fools and Horses?
Where are we going?
I don't know. I don't know what
who
you're
dares,
talking
we don't
about
really,
now.
do you not know who the motto "Who dares wins" is?
Isn't it Del
That's
Boy?
the SAS's motto. That's where
Oh,
it's
is
all
it?
come. That's where it's all come from. All this, who dares this, who dares that, who dares anything,
I'd like to think the
And
SAS are a little bit more decisive than Aaron.
and that's where
I'm going to edit it. So it's fine. It's going to sound really concise.
Even the only Fools and Horses one comes from exactly the same place. That's obviously dealt with. That's why it says "Who dares wins," Rodney. They go
Yeah.
history lesson for everyone there.
There we go. Right, I'm going to have to cut this bit out. I'm going to go Colchester United 1-0. Sam Kafour Jr. heads it towards the end of the game. There you go. I can chop that in.
What are you going to do? Like have 2 episodes, and if we suddenly win, you're going to try and swap them over that you've been noticing.
Mate, if you think I've got the time to be able to do that, then you're a better man than me. So, Dave, lovely to chat to you, and hopefully one of my predictions will be correct.
Cheers, mate. Cheers.
So there you have it. That is another episode of Beyond the Barside done and dusted. If you have enjoyed the show, please feel free to leave a like and a comment. It goes a very long way in boosting us up the algorithm and introducing us to new football fans across the EFL. And if you would also like to share the podcast with your friends, family, enemies, or give it a little 5-star rating over on Spotify or Apple, that really does help boost us up the charts and give us a little bit of bragging rights over some of the local rival podcasts as well. So please do that, and I will see you next week. Up the U's.